So welcome today to our Zoom meeting, our career ministry Zoom on the first day of February. I always love a new month. If you didn't get a chance to listen to the one from last week, I did put it on our YouTube career ministry Zoom. So if you don't have the link, you can find it on our website, which is allsaintsdallas.org/career ministry. And we talked about setting up goals for the new year and on ways for planning for success. One of the things that I always do, which I shared, is creating new goals, like basically revisiting things on a monthly and weekly and daily basis. So it's a new month, fresh start, and we're happy to invite Sarah Dubai, who is she'll explain herself, but career coach, life coach, leadership coach, and she's going to be talking about adopting a champion mindset for the job market. So, Sarah, we're happy to have you, and I'll just let you take it away from here.
Thank you so much, Tracy. So hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Daubai. If you hear my accents, I'm originally from West Africa. Ivory Coast, I speak French. And I'm going to go more into introducing myself a little bit more after I talk about the theme for today. So today we are going to be talking about adopting a champion mindset to win on the job market. So what qualifies me to talk about that? I started my career, and one thing, don't be shy. If you don't understand anything I say, just put a word in the chat, and then Tracy, let me know because I don't see the chat.
Okay, I will do that.
So pretty much, I started my career in the middle of a financial crisis. That made for a very, very rocky career. Seeing people being fired on the spot, having limited job opportunities. I worked in the oil and gas industry. I was always in finance operation. I have a business. I have both business degree, a BS in finance, BS in business administration and finance. Then, based on what I experienced in the job market around 2008, I knew I really needed to expand my options. So I went and got my MBA. But the issue is the financial crisis didn't end right away. That made I had a very rocky career. In the past 5 years, I've been out of work 3 times. I've experienced toxic workplace. I've become a professional job seeker. So a lot of what I'm sharing is seeing the difference it made when I was in a bad place from a mindset perspective to when I was able to get confidence in myself and start making changes that really helped me kind of regain control of my life and really show up differently, both at work and both when I was looking for work. So that's when the idea of this workshop, that's what I was drawn to, the idea of really adopting a champion mindset to win on the job market. You don't know when you're going to be able to find your next job. Even when you do the right things, there are things outside of your controls, but there are things you can do to really position yourself for success. And there are things you can do that regardless of what happened and how long you are employed, you are able to not get depressed. You are able to be resilient. You are able to be very creative as far as what you can do while you are waiting for the next job to come. So this also applies for even people that have jobs that want to really level up at work and really ensure success on their job. So based on the 8 Beatitudes, and why the Beatitude? The Beatitudes is really even a higher way of living. And also it really gives us the key to success in the spiritual sense and also in this world. Because when you are able to control yourself, in the Bible, I believe, or a quote says, a man that can, in the Bible also says, a man that can control themselves is basically more powerful than the most powerful people here. So really, if you can get one thing from this presentation, it's how to have self-mastery. So you manage your emotions, you manage your mindset, you manage your desires, and at the end of the day, you are coming out a champion. So going to the
I love that,
page.
Sarah. That's just that is exactly it. When you can manage yourself, you're controlling the internal part. We can't ever control our external environments. And people are oh, what if there's a recession? What if there's this? What if there's that? But being in control, and really God is the one that's in ultimate control, but trusting and having that faith in Him is really what's going to set you apart and have the champion mindset that's going to attract people to you. So Thank you. And I
Yes.
love the Beatitudes was the gospel this past week. So we just
Yes.
happened to study it with my little one is 11. And so we studied with his friend the
Mhm.
Beatitudes on Friday. And then we had, Sunday and all of that. And then here we have, you told me what you wanted to study. And so I loved that was what we're doing.
Thank
Sarah,
you.
just have a request because
Yes.
you have such a beautiful accent, but we want to make sure that everyone can understand what you're saying. So sometimes the audio is coming in and out. I don't know if there's a
Okay.
way to make sure that if it's like where you're positioned or what, but like make sure that you're
You
talking
know,
into
let me
the
call.
microphone or whatever.
I am going to be calling from, you know what, let me call to phone audio, yes. Let me call from my phone.
Do you think that will help?
Yes, because my internet is really not good.
Okay.
And then with the weather,
Yes.
so let me
I
quickly
agree.
call from my phone.
Okay. That's fine. I'd say just mute yourself on the computer while you do that.
Mhm.
Um, so is there anyone, while we're waiting her for to do that, anyone who can relate to this, like being able to have, you know, making sure that you're using, like connecting into the word of God as being some of your inspiration and applying to your time and transition? So I know this kind of piggybacks on what I was saying last week. If that was there something you wanted to say? Oh, okay. Very good. Um, so the Beatitudes, does everyone know where that comes from in the book of Matthew, where it's in the Sermon of the Mount? Okay, listen, I'm going to listen to Sarah and be quiet myself. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. So is it better now?
I think so. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. You know what? Let me also. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Okay. So pretty much like I briefly mentioned my experience before. So I've worked in different fields, in finance, in business operations. Pretty much like I've worked in strategy and business operations throughout my career. That's like the thread in different industries. And another thing also that happened is when I lost my job the last time, because I'd been on a process to really build up my talents and I was taking classes, I was already on the path to transition. I was able to start my own business. So right now I'm working on starting my business and building up my business. So that's what kind of implementing some of the things I'm going to share has helped me really taking control of my career and of my life and of my emotions. So the 8 Beatitudes. So we go through the 8 Beatitudes. Being poor in spirit, being meek. Those are mourn, and we'll go into what that means. Those are hunger and thirst after justice. Those are merciful, the clean of heart, the peacemakers, and those that suffer for justice sake. And I also kind of weave my story through what I'm sharing, so it kind of makes sense. So what are the keys to success and fulfillment? It's really shifting our mindset from focusing on things we cannot control to things we can control. The more you are able to focus on what you can control, actually your circle of influence grows. You become confident. You are very clear about what you are supposed to do, what you are not supposed to do, and you are very focused. So that gives you power, and other people want to be around you. And dropping off our heavy burdens, because sometimes we have things that happen to us that kind of get in the way of thriving. And we don't realize like we kind of have this energy that other people can sense, and we don't understand why things are not working out for us. So we're going to talk about that too. And we're also going to talk about letting go of attitudes that no longer serve us. One thing I've realized through my long, kind of rocky early career, mid career, was things that worked for me early in my career no longer work for me now. I'm a different person. The economy is different. What I'm looking for is different. There's a lot of change. So it's really talking about maybe once upon a time you were successful doing something, but you need to shift now. It's not going to work for the next stage of your life. So the more confident, positive, and hopeful you are, the more you're going to attract people. This is not new age. This is not manifestation. But it's just like a basic principle of life. People like to be around people that inspire trust and confidence. So that's really what you want to work on. So we'll go one by one into the Beatitudes. The first one is, blessed is the poor in spirit. Poor in spirit doesn't mean that you are poor in money sense. It means you are detached. Your identity is not wrapped up in success. Your identity is not wrapped up in your job status, whether you are in or out of work. Your identity is really rooted and grounded in the fact that you are a child of God. And then you are a human being and you have inherent dignity. So once you have the right mindset about that, whatever happens to you does not define you. So a few questions we need to ask ourselves. Are you a prisoner of your past? Once upon a time, I was trying to become an investment banker. But I didn't want to work 18 hours a day. That's what investment bankers do. And somebody told me, you're not hungry enough. And it's so true. Because eventually I decided I didn't want to make the effort. But I wasted many years of my life pursuing certifications when it was totally misaligned. So are you stuck on a goal that you want to achieve? That's really a goal that you need to give up so that new goals can be something you pursue. Do you keep talking about your past achievements? You have people like maybe they are 40. They keep talking about when they won the race when they were 15. At every season in your life, there are new achievements being made. Are you so stuck in the past? Maybe once upon a time you were a big manager somewhere and then something happened. Maybe you became a stay-at-home mother or your career got derailed and you cannot move past this. One thing I want to share out for you. The happiest person I knew was 94 and she was still working. She was the most joyful person I knew because she had had 3 different careers. She had been a lawyer, maybe something else. Then she started raising money for charity. And this lady, she had raised probably billions of dollars for one of the largest universities in the world. At 94, she was the most intelligent person I knew. She read 2 hours every day. That means it doesn't matter what age you are. There's space to learn. You can still achieve more success, but you need to move past your old success. Another thing, are you resisting change? And that also goes with the next slide. Are you attached to your own will and resisting God's will? Sometimes we have a desire. Like sometimes you hear somebody, I want to be an actress. But the person is a mother of 4. With 4 kids, why are you trying to become an actress? It's not aligned with where you are in your life. Or maybe you try to go to become a priest, a religious, it didn't work out. Maybe you try to do something that didn't work out. Maybe it's time for a new dream. Maybe God has been closing the door so you realize that maybe if I consider other options, there's something good that can come out of it. So really, being blessed, being poor in spirit really means, am I willing to shed past dreams, past achievements, a lot of things from the past, my own will, so that I can be open to God's best? So a few ways to do that is accepting the season of your life that you are in. I think one thing that happened to me, I did suffer a lot of workplace abuse. And the reason I suffered that is because I was pursuing prestige. I come from a well-off family. There was an expectation that as soon as I finished college, I should be making 6 figures and being the manager of something. But like at 22, it's very unlikely. So I've spent many years trying to pursue that dream. And that, I think, more so than anything that anybody did to me, that was the way that put me on the path to so much misery. I was attached to a lot of things, success, certain money. If I'd been focused on trying to discover what God had called me to, what I was good at, what I loved and gave me joy, I probably would have ended up going much further in my career much faster because I wouldn't have been so miserable. So another thing is accepting God's will. My thing in life, I no longer try to figure out if something bad happened to me. Is it God's will? Is it not God's will? I don't care. If something bad happens to me, then God permitted it, so it is will. Not that God is a bad person, but the quicker I accept it, the quicker I move on to solution, to finding a solution to my problem. So that's the way I do it. And accepting the new reality. And we'll talk about that when we get into the other beatitude. The second beatitude is, blessed is the meek. It's about humility, but it's also about self-awareness. Because sometimes you push your things, but you don't have the full knowledge of what it will take to achieve it. For example, do you have the right goal, the right career goal? Sometimes you may want to may want to do something, but the road to this goal is not practical for you or for where you are in your life. So it's really, are you really pursuing the right goal? For example, like, I'm a 5'2" woman. Like, I cannot try to become a beauty, like a beauty queen. Like, I mean, I'm sure I'm beautiful, but I'm not a beauty queen. I'm not gonna win. It's not gonna happen. Are you 50 trying to become a ballerina? So do you have the right dream? The second thing, do you have realistic expectations? Because I know sometimes my unemployment was lengthened by the fact that I did not have a realistic expectation. It didn't mean that I couldn't get what I wanted, but maybe I needed to be more patient. Maybe I needed to continue to build up my skill set. So sometimes you have a very good goal, but maybe you need to take an intermediary step before you get there. For example, maybe you were a registered nurse, and then you have been staying at home for 10 years. Maybe you may need to take a lower entry point, build up your credibility, and in a couple of months or a year, then you can apply to the position you used to have. So that's what I'm talking about. Blessed is the meek. Having awareness of where you are and be humble and do sometimes, I'm not saying don't have dreams, but sometimes you have to do the practical and the necessary. And realize that if I adopt the long-term view, eventually I'll get and I'll surpass where I used to be or where I want to be. So it's really about accepting our limitations, being open and flexible, being practical, patient, and realistic, and really doing a lot of research to make sure that even if we are going after big goals, we are very well informed and we are prepared to be successful in our search. Oh, actually, we should be third. Third is, blessed are they that mourn. Sometimes you are in a space of, this is about grief versus healing and recovery. In my job search, sometimes I was looking for work when I really was in a space where I needed to slow down and actually pause. Sometimes you just lost a loved one, or maybe it's not that recent, but now all the emotions are coming to you. You're in a space where you can grieve. Sometimes you are experiencing physical sickness or mental, you're not really good. Well, I've had burnout. I could not work. So sometimes we need to accept that as much as I want it, I'm not in the right space. Some of us have experienced divorce. Some people have had like major accidents. So where are you coming from as you are approaching your job search? Have you discerned whether you're in this? You may need to pause. So I'll say, instead of pushing through, are you in a season where God wants you to slow down and process your grief? So by the time you are able to bounce back, you are the best version of yourself. Because our vocation to work says, not that we live to work, but we need to be excellent at our work, whatever work we do. That means sometimes when you cannot do your full to your work for some reason, maybe it's God's message that it's a time, a season to pause. And especially if you're in a position to do so, I really encourage you. Like during COVID, I was recovering from workplace trauma. I thought I would be a cripple for the rest of my life. I was waking up in pain. I was going to bed in pain. I was limping. It wasn't a time for me to look for work. So for a year and a half during COVID, 2020 through 2021, mid-2021, I was recovering physically, mentally, spiritually. It wasn't a time for me to work. So I think the first thing you can do for yourself is love yourself, be kind and patient to yourself, and go through your grieving process. especially if you're in a position to do so. And that doesn't mean you have a lot of money. I did not have a lot of money. I was living off in insurance, employment in insurance that the government was giving. I allowed myself to be in a position of receiving help. So sometimes we need to be humble enough to accept the help. And I used to cry. I used to cry because I'm a very active person. And my sister used to tell me that there are just like she used to encourage me because I was so sad. So you have to allow yourself to heal and to recover. The fourth beatitude is hunger and thirst after justice. And I want to address it specifically for people that face some type of injustice. So anger can get into the way of you getting to the place you need professionally. It can come from many places. As I mentioned, I've had a lot of bad experience in corporate. Are you so angry over an injustice done to you that it's consuming all your energy? Are you talking a lot about things that have happened? Are you using social media to vent? Or even if you're not using social media, like, what is your mind space? Because the reality is like the more negative things are consuming your mind, the least brain space you have to think creatively about your job search. That's just the reality. Our brain cannot do both. Either you are consumed by negative thinking or you are consumed by positive thinking. And I remember when I was in this negative space, first of all, like I got healed through prayer because I was so bitter against my former boss. And only after I was able to forgive her, but I was able to start make progress in discernment, in getting clarity, and doors starting opening up. And I come from like a healing and deliverance background, so anger and forgiveness, and I think we also talk about that down, can be a great block to moving forward in our life. Even if we don't talk about the spiritual aspect, you are consumed about talking about negativity. That's time you are not networking. That's time you are not serving in your community. That's time you are not doing things that contribute to building up your reputation in such a way that you can have opportunities through people that know you, through people that trust you. So really, the greatest thing to develop for yourself is self-mastery. And also, I want to really think specifically about social media. It has become very popular over the past year or so for people to write posts on LinkedIn about companies that did them wrong, about like interviews that went wrong. I've had very bad interviews. I've moved for a job that was a nightmare, and I lost a lot of money. But I am not going to put that and blast people on social media. First, it's a lack of good manners. Second, your reputation is one of the most important things you have. Social media is your marketing campaign. So if people see you as angry, people will not want to hire you. Do not trust the people that like your comments when you blast some other company out there. They are not going to be the one hiring you. So you have to manage your image. You want your social media to make a good impression. For example, I preach about Jesus on LinkedIn, so I know some people will not want to hire me, but I'm very positive on LinkedIn. I don't criticize anybody. I share my experience. I share some of the bad things that happened to me. I don't name names. I'm not bitter. So there are many ways to share your stories in a very positive way, and you have to be very intentional. You need to curate your content. I'm a very private person. I'm actually a very big introvert. People don't know that. I'm very intentional about what I put there. And always being gracious, prudent, and kind. So companies check out social media. They can reject your candidacy. They can resend a job offer. And sometimes recruiters actually go online to identify candidates. So it's not because the company didn't contact you that they don't consider you. So you want to make sure that the first image people have of you is a good image. Blessed are the merciful. This is a continuation again. Bitterness versus forgiveness. I mentioned that quickly. What do you talk about? Whether it's personal, professional, it doesn't matter. The more your energy is consumed by negative things, the more your life is going to start experiencing, you're going to start experiencing a lot of struggles in your life. You know, all of us are going to carry crosses, but there is a difference between carrying a cross in a holy way and carrying a cross through bitterness. There is a difference. Bitterness comes with diseases. It comes with broken relationships. But when you carry your cross with grace, people admire you. People respect you. People honor you, even people that don't like you. So, again, back to the negative thinking. You want to cultivate anything you do within yourself to cultivate peace and happiness. And forgiveness, bitterness will make you unhappy. They will make you sick. Negativity hinders your ability to be creative and to solve your problems. Negativity will drain your energy. You wake up tired, you'll be agitated, you go to bed tired. You want to have life-giving thought and conversation. As a person, I'm very particular who I have in my inner circle. You need to make me a better person. You need to not be a person that encourages me to sin. Because I've noticed that the people that help me be a better person, I grow around them. I get opportunities around them. I meet other good people around them. So that also includes gossiping, scheming. At work, I avoid the gossipers. I don't care how bad the boss is. I don't gossip about him. I don't join cliques. My thing is like everything I do should be a reflection of who I am and should be a reflection of Christ. The 6 Beatitudes. Blessed are the clean of heart. As we started out, I mentioned that I was very ambitious when I started my career and made a lot of bad decisions and took a lot of wrong steps. I had disorderly ambition. Disorderly ambition, there are many things that can counter that, but one of the things I'll say is integrity. The attitude, what is the need for me? One thing that a term that I use is generosity marketing. When you're a generous person and sincere person, you are always doing things that benefit other people. Those people, I'll tell you, they will bless you too. And God always work it out in such a way that you get blessing from all over this. So even if for every person that hurts you, there are 10 people that blesses you. That is the power of generosity. So we need to get out of the mentality of, I'm not going to do anything unless it works for me. So in a time of unemployment, what does that mean? Volunteer, serve. Don't just think about your problem. If you pray for yourself, pray for other people, do ministry. The more busy you get doing good things, the more joyful the season is going to be, and maybe even the quicker the breakthrough will come. Do you only approach people because of the benefit you can get for them? Do you sweet talk people? Do you flatter others? Do you lie? I don't know if you probably followed the Senator George Santos in New York. He caught up with so many lies because he wanted to move far ahead in his career. Today, it's shame. Today, he needs to get out of, I think like there was a positioning that he needs to get out of. You don't want to find yourself in that position one day. You don't want to be living in fear of people may discover something that you misrepresented yourself for. Are you reliable, dependable professional? I've met a lot of people that they say they want to reach a goal, but they don't really show up for the goal. They don't really show up for themselves. And even once you want to help them, they are not consistent. So those are things you need to ask. You want to seek a win-win outcome. When you leave a good impression on somebody, you never know how he can recommend you. One day, they may bless you. So you don't do it for your benefit, but good action always leads to some good eventually. Share only the truth. That doesn't mean you have to overshare and share everything. As I mentioned, you want to be very intentional about what you share, but if you feel something is too personal or too touchy for you, don't share it. But only share what is necessary, but let it be true. Follow through on your commitment. Because there's nothing worse than people wanting to help you. Let's say, I've done that to my friend. He recommended me to a job and I acted like a mess. That wasn't good. So you have to be very careful. Am I a dependable person? Your reputation is one of the most greatest wealth you have. You don't want to be labeled as fake, selfish, flaky, and reliable. Because people will not say anything to you, but they may laugh with you, but they will not recommend you. They may not share with you opportunities, because the hidden job market, if I'm correct, it's like 80% of the real job market. So there are a lot of opportunities out there that you only know about when you know people. The seventh one is blessed are the peacemakers. You want to cultivate around you an atmosphere of peace. Are you a difficult person? Do you get easily offended? Are you reactive? Are you always combative? Do you like to pick fights with people? Are you rebellious? That will not help you. Are you an angry bird? Do you tend to be grumpy? Do you tend to be always be frowning? You have to think, what projection do I send? What kind of vibe do I send? So really, I've seen people being disliked because they complain and criticize within 1 second of getting into a room. You want to be courteous and kind. Keep your comments to yourself, especially if you are negative. Be agreeable. Authenticity does not mean being rude. Doesn't mean saying offensive things. Prudence and wisdom are very important. Holding our tongue is very important. The last one is blessed are they who suffer persecution for justice's sake. You want to cultivate patience, because sometimes it doesn't matter whatever you do, you are just in a season of waiting. For some reason, you are doing all the best things, but for some reason, God in His wisdom knows you need to wait. For me, my period of waiting were a period where I was able to assess, even in the occasion where people mistreated me, some of the things I could have done differently. It was a period of getting more humble. It was a period of discerning actually what I wanted in my life. It was a period of really investing in my personal relationship, because I used, even now I'm fighting against workaholism. So maybe you're in a season of waiting. Maybe you're in a season of trials. It's not just work, it's everything. So you need to think about that. What season am I in? Because when you know you're in a season of post-season, it's a season where you start praying more. You start asking people for assistance, spiritual assistance. You start growing the Lord. Are you feeling like a failure? Back to the comments. Your job, it is not who you are. You have dignity in being human. You have infinite dignity in being a child of God, especially as a baptized Catholic Christian. So ask the grace to let go of those feelings of failure, because your job status, your career, your degree is not your identity. So instead of frustration, and typically frustration is a sign of impatience, patiently bear your cross. Pray more. Cultivate your community. Focus, instead of cultivating worries and anxiety, learn something new. Grow your talents. Instead of obsessing over the job search, cut how many hours you're going to be searching for jobs. For example, for me, I was only searching for jobs Monday through Wednesday, because typically those are the best time to apply. And then I'll do other things during the later part of the week. So make space for friends and family. And strive to bear your cross with grace as long as it lasts. So to recap, you want to cultivate detachment over attachment to the things of this world and to external sign of success. You want to cultivate self-awareness, humility over ignorance. You want to cultivate healing and recovery over grief. You want to cultivate self-mastery. You want to cultivate a spirit of forgiveness. You want to cultivate a spirit of integrity. You want to cultivate peace. You want to cultivate patience. And this will help you be in a space where, regardless of all the job search is, you are happy, you are confident, you are hopeful, and you may even find yourself even creating ways or even identifying your dream job or even creating your dream job. So this is really what I'm proposing to you today.
Thank you so much. That was excellent. Sarah, are you still going, or is that are you ready for questions?
I'm ready for questions.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. If anyone has questions for Sarah or something that she said that you find helpful or you'd like to provide your reflection on, I would love to hear from you.
I've got a question.
Yes, Griffith.
I want to ask you about the cultivate forgiveness over bitterness, because I've known a lot of people who lost their job either because of coworkers or a manager who were either difficult or even abusive. And sometimes that can really that can make finding a new job very difficult for a lot of people. And I just wonder if you had some advice, just because I have several friends who are kind of going through that now, and I was just kind of curious what your recommendations would be on that.
Yes, I would say for me, because I experienced the same, not one time, but 3 times. And it created a gap on my resume. So every time I went into a job application situation, I was really coming from a place of emotional distress. And when I mentioned grief, one of the things people need to grieve is a job loss, especially when they were unjustly treated. So sometimes you need to focus on grieving what happened before you get to a place where you can even go back to the job market. Because I spent a year and a half recovering physically from what had happened. And because it was a big company, I had to be very careful. You cannot talk negatively about your boss. You cannot share our story. So I'll say, let them focus on grieving. Maybe they need to have access to mental health resources. For example, if they don't have the funds, the church offers, how they call it,
Stephen's ministry.
Or Stephen ministry, or even sometimes like you have Catholic therapists or Christian therapists that work on a scale where it's affordable. But typically, when there's been trauma, typically you need mental health support. Another thing that can help them if they are Catholic or Christian is healing ministry. Because typically with trauma, you may have spiritual oppression going on too. So if you're not able to forgive by yourself, you may need help or prayers to be in a space where you can forgive. And the third thing I'll say, they need to grow in confidence, because I had to grow to a level of confidence where I've decided what I will share with people. Meaning like I've decided which question I will answer. I'll take control of my interviews. Meaning like I'm not going to defend myself. That's when I talked about self-mastery and also a place of peace. You want to be so confident that you cannot control the interview. So I will start the interview by telling them my story as I wanted my story told. I tell them, this is my experience. This is the path I've had. I didn't get into details. And then I will also say things that were true. Basically, like, and also we need to take advantage of bad economic times. For example, right now, many people are losing their jobs. So if you lost your job adjacent, so I took advantage of the fact that because of COVID, many people were not asking too many questions. So the issue is when you go looking for work, when you're not in the right mindset, you share too much. You want to defend yourself, you give information that's used against you. So you have to reclaim that power. You have to heal and reclaim that power. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's a great question and answer for sure. And I will say that's a lot of what we focus on the career ministry. Like what we're doing on Saturday, we do, the beginning exercises are a deep dive and some of that reflection, and then very much practical steps on how to get a job. But that's everywhere. Most of the time, a lot of the challenges, and I know Kim could probably reflect on this as well now that she's landed and she's in a new place. Like a lot of life management is us getting in the way of ourselves, right? And the difference between super successful people and people who are not are the way they think. So it's taking control of our self-management and being able to lead ourselves to where we end up in a different position. Now, Sarah's made a decision. She's going to be an entrepreneur and she's going to, not be in a workplace, and she's making her own coaching business as that is her next step. And that's great. But many of y'all, want to be in a workplace. Many of y'all may be considering other steps as well, but employers can pick up on these things. And if we don't work through some of the things we have to work through, they keep coming back. And maybe you get a job, but you don't end up staying there because you're still dealing with some of the things, that you still have to work through. So God knows, God has a plan. So any other questions or comments? Yes, Kim.
I just want to say one of the things that kind of jumped out to me, Sarah, is this whole notion of what you fill your mind with, right? And I think that I found myself in my job search thinking about what's the minimum I would accept in terms of responsibilities or pay. And I even disregarded some job descriptions. And there was one in November at Cook, and I didn't apply for it. And then they decided to hire a second one. And what was on paper wasn't anything like what the job really is. And so I think that I found, looking back, it's hard to expect the best, right? And so how do you think of, rewrite the script of, I am going to find a work environment that is good for my personality and where they'll value me. So it's a mind thing.
Yeah. Yes, I feel like that's really when it's time of unemployment. It's really a time to grow a lot, because the more clear you become about the fact that I'm unique, I'm valued, and God has a purpose for your life, then you are not so controlled by this particular difficult time. You know that eventually something good will come out of it. For example, I've had to take bad jobs because I knew, okay, this is my way to my next step. So even though I know it was a hard situation, like the job I lost, the job helped me get back to supporting myself again. I was really desperately trying to move out of New York and move back to Dallas. So I know that in God's grand scheme, it was part of his plan. And this time, because I'd had so many crazy experiences before, I was able to see it coming. So by the time the job loss came, one of my friends was like, "Are you going to leave your apartment?" I'm like, "No," because I've learned if I trust God, I don't react in panic mode. Somehow things will work out, even if I go through difficult seasons. So that's one thing. Another thing I want to add for Griffith and other people, it is a lie that if you have gap on your resume, you won't be hired. I have gap on my resume as much as 4 years where I did different things. I'm a creative person, so I tried to go to fashion design school, and then I realized this is not going to work out for my finances. The thing is, take control of your career planning, because when you take control of your career planning in your life, even when you are not employed, you are doing productive things. Like, I know people that have started business about the same time. They are much more advanced in their business because they were stay-at-home mothers that were very involved in their community. So by the time they started their business, they had already been doing what they wanted to do. So use your time well. Right now, it is a perfect time to transition because it's a crisis. During a crisis, people will not ask too many questions. You can transition by volunteering, by maybe taking a job that's not paid that well. Don't focus on pay. Focus on the opportunity to acquire skills and competencies. Mm-hmm. And to be busy, to be out there, maintain your positive outlook. I'll say that was the number one. If you have a positive outlook, something will come out for you.
I agree, very much so. Yeah, just cultivating that abundance mentality. And as we grow our faith, like if you spend time in the Bible and the Word, you read all of the challenges and suffering. We're not promised an easy life as Christians. We're promised that God knows the best for us and that He's going to be there through it all. So a lot of times, I'm in a Bible study that's going through the Old Testament, and that's pretty challenging. There was many years where all through the kings and all of this time, people were the Israelites were bad. Like, He chose His people and He wanted the best for them. They just kept doing bad and bad and bad and bad. And He said, we're going to have some judgment. We don't know the reasons that He throws challenges at us and sufferings. And sometimes it's to bring us closer to Him. And so a lot of times these things aren't evident as we're walking through them, but in reflection, we can go, oh God, that's why you gave me that lovely time of my life. I grew that during that time so that I could be who he wanted me to be, and I could minister to others, and I can share my story later. He doesn't equip the call, he calls the equipped. So we are vice versa, actually. Sorry. But you all know what I'm saying. Like we are where we're supposed to be, and sometimes we question, but I can tell you, because take the opportunity to grow closer to him and to be in his word, because the more you grow in your faith, that's going to take you through, because God doesn't leave you. God's always there. Our footprints poem will tell us that. So sometimes it's hard to see when you're in the middle of challenging times, but just know that he's there for you and we're here for you. And that's why we have this small group. And I just love Sarah's wisdom. And the more I spend time with her, the more I'm just in love, and just so thankful that God has blessed us with her giving back. She doesn't even, this All Saints wasn't her primary parish, but she learned about the career ministry, and she knows that this is like what she does. So Sarah, if you want to explain like a little bit about your business briefly before we end, like obviously you do what you do for free for career ministry, but oh look, I didn't even see your presentation. I should have figured you'd have that. So y'all can share, check her out on these mediums. I'll pass it over to you.
Yes. Basically, my business is really targeted like to millennials, like older millennials, people approaching mid-careers, where we are starting to deal with like even the single people. Like a lot of our generation is facing like older parents dealing with like their own children when they are family. Even the single, I'm single, we are dealing with aging parents, and we are facing ourselves in a phase of transition, especially people who are faith-driven. So I want to really support Catholic, like, in the mid-30s to mid-40s, really kind of asking questions about their life, looking to make some career transitions, some life transitions. Maybe some people want to spend more time with their family. Some people may want to change careers, but really discover what God has for them. My other passion is for godly/virtuous entrepreneurship. So really helping people set up business that are really grounded in God's law, because you can win at business while being faithful to God in your business. So, and given that it's very close to my background, that's one thing I'm passionate about.
Very good. Great. Well, I did share these. You can write these down, but I did share these all on the email that you should have received that gives you the link. So check out her website, connect with her on LinkedIn. She'll be here on Saturday in person, and the weather is going to warm up. This ice is going to melt. So we should be fine on Saturday. And so just thank you so much, Sarah. We're really happy to have you and appreciate all of your wonderful nuggets. Thank you guys for joining. Stay warm. Drink some extra hot cocoa.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Have a great day. Take care.